friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be comparing two different flip phones. The one on the right, on the left, the big one is the Mive style folder. The one on the right side, the smaller one, is the Kyocera KYF42C. And I think both phones are great options in 2024, especially if you're looking to downgrade and reduce your screen time and maybe stop yourself from doom scrolling, because let's admit it, it's not as simple as uninstalling apps. So let's dive in and see what the differences are and which option or which phone would be the better option for you. Starting with the obvious, there's quite a bit of a difference when it comes to the physical dimensions of the phones. The Mive style folder is definitely bigger at 124.5 by 63 by 16.2 millimeters, and the Kyocera KYF42C is 112 by 51 by 17.90 millimeters. So it's a little bit thicker, but it's not much that you will notice it at first glance. The Kyocera KYF42C is also a lot lighter at 125 grams, and the Mive style folder is 180 grams. When it comes to Android OS version, the Mive style folder definitely takes the cake because it has Android 12 with Google Play service support, and the Kyocera KYF42C only has Android 10 with no Google Play services. That means you don't get Play Store like you get with the Mive style folder. However, you can still sideload apps using ADB. It may sound intimidating, but really there's a lot of tutorials online. If you go to Google or Reddit, there should be a lot of tutorials there. And if you check my channel, I do have a guide on how to install apps using the WebADB website. Website, right? Right. Okay. Between the two, I do like the KYF42C better, just because I'm a little bit biased. I've always loved Japanese flip phones, and there's just something about the simplicity, the design, the way it feels in my hand when I'm holding it. It's lighter, it's simpler, it's more sleek. And the Mive style folder just it's kind of big, it's huge, it's chunky, and I'm just not a fan of how the corners are rounded when they're big like that. I can't explain it, but there's something about it. Anyways, going back to my point, you can still install apps on this Android 10 Japanese flip phones. What I usually do is I just install Aurora Store, which is an alternative an alternative to Google Play Store. And once I have that installed, I can just go to town. Like, you can just install whatever apps you want through the Aurora Store without having to sideload using ADB. On the Mive style folder, you get this quite big keypad. They're very nicely spaced out, so if you have bigger fingers, this is great. But I don't like how it's so flat, and so when you're typing, it almost feels like you have to look and you have to really know where the keys are, which obviously you're gonna know after some time. I got used to it. But I just really love the keypads on Japanese flip phones more. They're a little bit raised, they have great feedback, and overall it provides a better typing experience compared to the Mive style folder. This is my opinion though. Of course your opinion can vary, and it's just really personal preference. But again, if I had a chance to choose, if I can make my own phone, I would take the Mive style folder, shrink it down a little bit, and then put the keypad from any Japanese flip phones. It's that good. Both phones have 8 megapixel cameras at the back. The difference is the Mive style folder has a front camera, which is 5 megapixels, great for video calls and selfies, I guess. So here's me just trying out the camera. Between the two though, I think I like the camera, or the picture quality rather, on the Kyocera phone. It just looks better. The pictures appear more vibrant, and I like that kind of thing. On the Mive style folder, they look a little bit more washed out, and there tends to be a lot of noise in the picture as well. But I'm not expecting either one of these phones to have really great cameras. It's just how it is. We just haven't gotten to a point where someone has released a modern day classic style flip phone with great camera, and I'm totally okay with that. In case you're also wondering what typing sounds like on these phones, here's an example. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but like I mentioned, the Kyocera KYF42C is ever so slightly thicker than the Mive style folder, but because it's smaller, it's slimmer. I mean, it's narrow, not slim, but it's narrow, and it's lighter. Did I say that already? It doesn't feel like it's thicker. It's always gonna feel like the Mive style folder is the heavier one, the chunkier one, even though it is a little bit thinner. I guess one of the biggest drawbacks that you get with the Japanese flip phones is that they don't really have volume buttons. And as a workaround, I typically install third-party app like the Keymapper app that I have here. So what I did is I just set some buttons here to work as my volume button. For me, I'm using this camera button on the right side, and it lets me increase the volume, decrease the volume. Otherwise, listening to music would be quite a mess. You won't really have this problem with a Mive style folder because you get volume rockers on the left side. And after using Japanese flip phones for a while, I literally have newfound appreciation for volume buttons. I never knew I needed them. I never knew how hard it is to listen to music without actual volume buttons. But it's just one of the things I don't like about the Kyocera. On the My Style folder, you actually get quite a lot of buttons that are almost similar. For example, you get the back button here, and then you also have a back button right below the D-pad. You also get a camera button, you have a home key and call key. Sometimes they all function the same way, so just like the Kyocera flip phone, I'm also using Keymapper app in this phone. And what I did is I just remapped some of the buttons so that they stop and play music, go to the next song, and all other things. The My Style folder has a touchscreen, so navigating apps is really easy. It's the same as your standard smartphone with a screen with a touchscreen. But even if it has a touchscreen, it's really not the most comfortable thing to hold, especially because it's big and you have to hold it in such an awkward manner. And because of that, it makes you more intentional with your usage, and I guess that can be a good thing, right? On the other hand, the Kyocera flip phone does not have a touchscreen. It does have a built in cursor, and I do prefer that. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you were specifically looking for a phone and what your goal is. Are you switching to a flip phone because it's cute, you just want to use a flip phone? Or are you switching to a flip phone because you want to downgrade and want to spend less time on your phone and maybe more time for hobbies with families and friends? Or are you simply looking to reduce your social media usage? So for me, if this is the first time you're transitioning to a flip phone, if you just want to downgrade a little bit, spend less time online but still have access to it if you really need it, I think the Mive style folder would be a better option just because it has Android 12, it has Google Play Store. You don't really have to sideload apps. You don't have to tinker with the cursor apps, and it just works out of the box, provided that it works in your country, though. I think it has LTE. I don't think it has 4G. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would recommend that. Another option would be the Freetel Retro Mode 2. That phone has Android 13, if I remember correctly, and it has a boxy shape kind of similar to other Sharp flip phones. That one also has Google Play Store, so you might want to look into that if you like the design. Personally, not a fan, but I'm still looking for it so I can review it in my channel in the future. For the Kyocera though, if you really want something a bit dumber, and I guess you still have access to apps, but it's not as convenient to use. If you just really want something simple and smaller, the Kyocera flip phone is a great option too. So yeah, hope you liked this video and I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And as always, please like and subscribe.